This episode of the Cork and Entertainment Show is brought to you by Black Box Prompter. Are you a musician tired of being tethered to your tablet or music stand? Do you long to connect with your audience on a deeper level, but find yourself constantly glancing down at your lyrics and chords? Then I highly recommend Black Box Prompter, the smart and stealthy lyrics and chords teleprompter designed to liberate musicians from the stage clutter. This innovative device is perfect for bands, hobbyists jamming out in the garage, touring pros rocking arenas, and even houses of worship looking to elevate their services. It discreetly displays your lyrics and chords, allowing you to maintain eye contact with your audience, adding an extra layer of authenticity and connection to your performance. Don't let distractions hold you back. Unleash your full potential and create a more powerful connection with your audience with Black Box Prompter. Click the link in our episode description and use the promo code Corcoran at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Black Box Prompter, the smart teleprompter built for musicians by musicians. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran. How we all doing? Everyone having a good week, good summer? Everyone staying hydrated, all that good stuff. Insanely hot, but what can you do? It's summer. I didn't expect any different. Before we start today, I wanted to just say a big thank you to Podcast Stars Magazine. They included an article of mine promoting the podcast, and it's basically a podcast magazine by She Rises Studios, Podcast Stars. So podcasters, but with a E instead of a, or with an A instead of an E at the end of it, which is really, really cool. And so I was very honored to be featured in the July 2025 edition. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Podcast Stars Magazine. Thank you guys for including me and helping spread the word about this little podcast of ours. And it was a lot of fun to do that. So thank you again just for the opportunity. And it's always great. There's a lot of great podcasting network sites like on Facebook and Instagram. Podmatch is another one of our amazing partners, and it's just great for networking, meeting people, connecting with people, making your show better and better. And yeah, so I just want to say thank you to Podcast Stars Magazine for including me, and you guys can be sure to purchase it Amazon. You can also go to sherisestudios.com, and you'll also be able to find it on there. They have a whole bunch of other magazines on there as well, too. Not just necessarily podcast related, but there's multiple different ones. The Beauty Box magazine, the Scoop magazine, the She Wins magazine, Success Savvy magazine. You name it, there's all kinds of them on there. So definitely be sure to check out some of the other magazines they have featured. And also be sure to check out the July 2025 edition of Podcast Stars, because, there's a little snippet in there from me. And thank you again, guys, for the opportunity. So moving on to the podcast today. Great conversation today. I had a great time with our guest today, Joshua Flapan. Joshua, he is an author, and some of his works include Education Mania, Modern Prohibition, and Innocent and Executed. And it was a great conversation. He's a great guy, and just had a lot of fun chatting with him. Be sure to go check out some of his books wherever you get your books at. And, we talk about a lot of things. One of his things that he talks about is how you don't need college to be successful. I thought that was an interesting discussion, so we talk a lot about that. That's where the title of the episode comes from. And so later in the show, after the conversation, I want to give my thoughts on Amber Heard is making headlines again because she landed her first role post Johnny Depp trial over 3 years ago. And also want to give my thoughts on the possibility of Paul Walker coming back to Fast and Furious, CGI Paul Walker returning, being brought back, Brian O'Connor being brought back for the final Fast and Furious film, which is releasing in April 2027. So give my thoughts. Is it a good idea? Is it not? Will it happen? We'll discuss that. So anyways, guys, without further ado, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast today. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, and today I am joined by a very talented published author who's done a lot of things, and very happy to have him on here today. Been writing for over 15 years since his first book was released in 2014. Joshua Flapan. Joshua, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for coming on. How's the weather up your way? You're in Florida, right?
Yep, the weather is very hot every day. Hurricane season is on the is happening.
Oh, geez, you gotta love that. Yeah, it's so funny. We're here. We're always complaining about. We just had it was 40 degrees the other day, or actually it was 36, and then with the humidity, it was about 41, and we were complaining. But then we realized just how hard other people have it. I mean, we don't really realize how lucky we are until we see other countries. What's the temperature right there at the time of this recording? Do you happen to know that?
90 degrees around there.
There's no way, is it?
Yeah, it's usually that every day.
Yeah, see, I'm not used to that at all. I complain about 40-degree weather, and here you are with 90 degrees. So I shouldn't be saying nothing. I applaud you guys for getting through it. What's it like when it's that hot outside? Do you still prefer to write inside, or do you like to write outside? Like, where do you get your best ideas from?
I like to write inside. I usually do research from the library, Palm Beach County Library, TV, CNN, and talking to friends, debating the topics.
Oh, awesome. So when did you start writing? You've been writing I mentioned you first published your first book in 2014, but when did you start it? It must have been years before that, was it?
Yeah, 2009. The publishing business is not easy at all. It's a lot, it's oversaturated market.
Yeah, it's not easy. Lots of people think it's an easy go. You can just send a publishing company your book and boom, it's out and everything. Doesn't work that way, right? Because there's companies that are looking for different things and everything. Throughout your time with all the books that you've written and published, what's the one thing that you find publishing companies look for the most, or what do they prioritize?
I think they want a professionally edited book that can sell and where they can market it. They're very reluctant to take on new authors with no background.
Does that ever get discouraging in a way? Because you want it's always good to give people a chance and stuff like that. So does that ever bother you with some authors who are trying to get their foot in the door, but they're like, sorry, we need people who are more experienced? Does that kind of get under your skin a bit, or do you kind of understand it now that you've been in the game for a while?
I understand that I had a literary agent, Ian, a literary agency, and he couldn't find me a traditional publisher.
Oh, really? Really? So how'd you end up finding your first publishing company? Or like the one that,
Well,
yeah.
it was Create Space on online and Amazon, and then I found one in Yokota Publisher in India and the Philippines and the United States, international company, but they didn't do any marketing for me.
Oh, really? So you kind of had to like market your own book, is that right?
Yeah, find different ways to market it, go on podcast and other different shows.
Well, I'm seeing what you're doing, man. You're on lots of podcasts and stuff. So I'm very, I have to say, I have to applaud you for, you're really going for it, man. You're really going for it, and it's one of those things where, you want to get recognized and everything, and some people don't know where to start. It's like this is how you do it. It's putting yourself out there, making a name for yourself. If Is there any particular piece of advice along the way throughout your journey that really stuck with you that you still take into consideration even today?
Yeah, you should get a traditional publisher who actually pays you. You shouldn't really pay to publish.
Like self-publishing, do you agree? Is self-publishing a good way to go, or good to go with the traditional way? Because self-publishing is almost the easier approach because that's your book. You publish it your own way. I've self-published a play before. Do you think that's a good way to start for people who are, they're struggling to get something published, like traditionally published, so they go the self-publishing route? How do you see that?
Well, you self-publish is a way to go, but you need marketing and name recognition to do that, to have success.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like education and goes with training.
No, exactly. That's the thing. And you learn a lot of the stuff along the way. I mean, whenever you started writing, is that something were you just kind of self-taught in that regard? Where you kind of just learn the work by doing the work?
I had a mentor, Dr. Jackson, who was a professor at Lane University and FAU, who helped me get started back in 2008, 2009. But I did it myself. I read books and I came up with a new original research.
Oh, awesome. What are kind of like, if when you're writing stuff about, it's one thing if you're writing a book that's fictionalized, where you're making up the world and you're making up the characters. If you're writing stuff that's based on real life, what's that extra level of pressure, I guess you could say, where you're like, people are going to read this who know exactly what I'm talking about and who can relate to this stuff. How do I write this in a way that people will understand and resonate and all that stuff with?
Well, you have to use bibliographies at the end, quote them. You have to write in APA style or Chicago Manual style. It's a lot of work and low reward writing, really.
Yeah, it don't come easy. That's the thing. Do you get annoyed with people who or maybe not necessarily annoyed. I mean, that might be kind of a harsh way to put it, but like people who think it'll come quick. It'll come quick, and if I just publish this first book, it's going to come to me. Or sorry, if I write this first book, boom, I'm a published author. Blah blah blah. People who think it's going to go that way. You've done it for a while now. Do you kind of try to advise those people to almost temper their expectations in a way, like it might not go how you want it, but this is what you should prepare for?
Definitely, there's a tremendous amount of competition around the world for published authors or different genres and nonfiction and fiction. The library is full of books.
Yep, no, that's true. They're definitely, libraries aren't going out of business, that's for sure, or going out of stock or low inventory. There's always lots there. Even some libraries got a whole second floor, so there's still lots of demand for books. Have you kind of gone the digital route now, where like everything is a digital, or do you still prefer to read books physically with the physical copy of the book in hand?
I prefer to read books with a physical copy in hand because you get a sense of the author, the page. I go to the library every week. I check out books, interlibrary loan.
The Cork and Entertainment Show is brought to you by Podmatch, the ultimate platform designed to connect podcast hosts with prospective guests effortlessly. Are you a podcaster looking to elevate your show to new heights? Or perhaps you're a guest hoping to share your story with a broader audience. Whatever your podcasting goals are, we have the perfect solution for you. Podmatch simplifies the entire process of discovering guests for your show or finding podcasts to feature your expertise. Now imagine a platform where you can easily match with like-minded creators tailored specifically to your niche. With Podmatch, you can effortlessly network with influencers and thought leaders, all while staying true to your podcast vision. There are a multitude of ways that Podmatch can help you grow your brand. You can be part of a thriving community of podcasters and potential guests. Engage, collaborate, and grow together. If you're ready to experience these fantastic benefits for yourself, we invite you to join Podmatch today. Head over to www.joinpodmatch.com/Cork and Entertainment and sign up right now for only $6 a month. That's right, you heard me right, $6 a month. Join the Podmatch family today and watch your podcast soar to new altitudes. Thank you for tuning into the Cork and Entertainment Show, and happy podcasting. Well, it's good though. Yeah, like that's I also feel that way when you're I mean, that's one way to feel when you're reading, but also when you're writing. I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of interesting actually because you feel more there's something about writing the stuff down by hand that feels like I'm literally creating this like I'm a wizard or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you feel truly immersed. You're feeling like you're actually creating the world. There's something about doing it just physically with your hands that feels, I'm getting the work done. Do you ever do that too, or do you prefer a typewriter or a laptop or anything like that?
I usually write at my computer at my house, in my mom's house in Boca.
Oh, okay, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, some people have their own different way. Do you go to any other like maybe coffee shops? I like to do that when I'm writing plays. I like to go sometimes and sit in a coffee shop because not that my house has anything that's too distracting aside from a dog or people walking around or whatever. But sometimes it's nice to just go to a coffee shop and it's a calm atmosphere and you can get a lot done. Do you have a go-to spot for that, or do you kind of just stick at your place?
At my parents' house, I write and edit and reread. Sometimes forget what you've written. It takes time and you have to reread it and edit it.
Yeah, it's a long process. It's not something that just comes quick. And that's just the reality of being a writer is that it can be a long road, but it's very rewarding too. It's one of those things where you don't do you have any regrets at all? You have no regrets about what you've accomplished. This is, you're very proud of what you've done. That's what I really like to see, people who take great pride in their work. Were there any points along the way where you kind of didn't think you were making the right decision and maybe almost tried to turn back and go, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This isn't what I want to do. Or did you just keep on going, put your head down and keep on trucking along?
Yeah, I keep on going. You never give up. And even though I don't have a PhD, I can't be a professor. You keep going. I write articles sometimes, and I think the advice I have for an author is to get a side job while writing.
Yes, absolutely. Like I think everybody needs that. It's not like it's going to be that's your career. It's like this is just something you got to pay your bills somehow. You got to live, you got to, you know, like that's just how it goes. Like there's not really an easy way to put it. Unfortunately, I wish we lived in a day and age where we can just write something, boom, it's out, and we can retire. Unfortunately, that's just not the way things go. But something that really intrigued me. Something that it was in your book, I believe, Education Mania, if I'm not mistaken. Um, College isn't necessary. I was kind of curious about your take on that. It's a really interesting take.
Yeah, college is not necessary unless you want to be a professor and do original research. And you know that physicians don't do original research. They can go to technical high school or college, whatever. Veterinarians, psychologists go to high school, nurses, engineers. The only person who should really go to college is if you want to do the mission of the university or original research, public service, international, private industry, and preserving information.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was an interesting take. I mean, I do agree to a certain extent. I think there are a lot of things or maybe certain programs where you're like, okay, maybe I didn't need to go to college for that. But then there are some where it's like, okay, no, you definitely need them. And I mean, like I think, and that's just not necessarily for professors. That goes for a lot of different careers. But I definitely see your perspective and I understand that. Um do you have people who argue with you on certain points or takes that you might have?
Definitely, I argue with Dr. Jackson and discuss who should go to college. Should it be professors? Should it be physicians? Should it be lawyers? Should it be psychologists?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be a doctor, that's one of those careers where you're helping people, you're giving them medicine, you're prescribing them pill, all this stuff. So it's one of those things where you can't necessarily just go into that type of job without any sort of post-secondary education. Like you need something to that kind of proves. And maybe there are some people out there who just, or some doctors there who just learned it by doing it. But typically that's something where, I mean, like we see certain like teachers and stuff like that, some teachers who don't even have like teaching degrees who end up getting work and stuff. So there are exceptions to a lot of those rules, but my opinion is definitely to get an education. But not that I don't see your perspective or anything. I'm not going to fight you on it, I promise you that. We're buddies, eh, Josh?
Yeah,
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I'm happy to have you on, man. Um,
happy beyond.
yeah, exactly. No, it's a lot of fun. And this isn't the first podcast you've done. You've done a few podcasts now, right?
Yes, I've done about 10 podcasts, two Republican town halls. Even though I'm not a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I like to debate them.
Do you have any favorite podcasts or anything like that? Do you have any podcasts that are almost like your go-tos? Like if you're gonna go for a drive or do chores around the house, you turn on a certain podcast and listen to it. Do you have one go-to?
I watch CNN, MSNBC. I watch my program on National Geographic, Investigation Discovery. I don't really watch podcasts. I watch TV.
Nah, there you go. That's probably that might be, well, yeah. Here's a funny take. People say, and I'm wondering your take on this, it's probably a no. Podcasts have become more relevant than the news. Yes or no? Do you agree with that?
For the new generation out there of people worldwide, probably. But I like to watch the TV, just like I like to read the books.
Yeah, because podcasts, you're just listening to them. You're not. Well, some people watch podcasts. Like some people watch them in their studios and stuff like that, doing things. But that's not. You know. Yes, you can do that. But for me, podcasts have always just been like a go for a drive, do chores around the house, whatever the case may be. That's a great way to listen to them instead of just sitting down and watching them talk. It's good to. Well, I mean, not that people don't do that or people can't do that. It's just for me, that's just how I prefer to listen to podcasts. So, what other type of media do you like aside from CNN and stuff like that? Do you like any type of sitcoms or anything like that, or?
No, I don't watch sitcoms. I usually watch the news, the same news every day here in America, culture war, Middle East, scandals, and it's the same cycle. It cycles in and out.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Like I try my best to stay clear of the news just because of all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. Makes me feel sad almost in a way, you know what I mean? Like it's just the crazy world that we live in, and you're almost like, do I want to surround myself and you know it's an interesting type of thing, but it's that's how we learn about what's going on in the world. So sometimes there's not really much you can do about it. But so you don't watch anything else no, yeah, no sitcoms. How about movies? Are you a big movie guy?
No, I'm not a big movie guy. Sometimes I watch history movies, like Dr. Robert Oppenheimer about the building of the atomic bomb, which we don't need, but
Oh, you found that movie was unneeded?
no, I'm saying the atomic weapon is not needed in the book.
Oh, I thought you meant the movie. Sorry, I thought you meant the movie was unneeded. I was like, ah, that's a good movie. I like it. No, you're right. You're right. Feel free to elaborate on that if you want.
Yeah, the world is in chaos and there's war everywhere and we need peace.
That's it. That's it, man. More, we're trying to make way for the new world. We're not trying to destroy the old world, right? Like it's, that's kind of That's maybe he was onto something, but it's that's I try not to talk about that on the show because I don't want people to oh no, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. But not that nobody else can give their opinions. I try to stay neutral sometimes. What's your opinion? Speaking of opinions and stuff like that of people, yeah, people on the internet. The internet's a dangerous place in the sense of it's hard to say much without getting crapped on. You could give your opinion on certain things, and people will go, "What do you mean? Blah, 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 blah. We're gonna cancel you." Blah 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 blah. What's your take on that? On how people can spin things to almost destroy other people's careers, like the Me Too movement? How do you see all that?
Well, I think the Me Too movement was good in that it showed Harvey Weinstein was a predator. And I think that the internet could be good. You can connect with people all over the world, as well as the bad in the internet.
Yeah, there's ups and downs. That's for sure. That's for sure. How do you kind of putting yourself out there, doing podcasts and stuff like that? How do you kind of deal with how people are sometimes with the internet is just ruthless sometimes. Do you ever fear sometimes about like what if I go on? Because I certainly did that when I started my podcast. I didn't know, are people gonna trash on me? Are people even gonna listen? All this stuff. When you started doing podcasts and you started putting your work out there, did you have any fears about that?
No, I think that people are very receptive to my ideas. And but I get in debates with, it depends. If you go to Republican town hall, then you get into a debate on some issues.
Yeah, and well, there's good debates and there's bad heated debates where you're debating just your side. You're not trying to crap on anybody. You're just trying to give your opinion. And then there's a difference between that and heated where you're just arguing and fighting with each other back and forth. Do you find those debates maybe are more effective than the more civil ones?
I think the civil ones are the good ones, and I enjoy the debates on at home and on the internet on
No, well, there's
politics.
that's it. So me and Joshua are gonna get into a debate right now. Ketchup on craft dinner, yes or no?
Craft dinner, I don't eat those type of dinners. They have too much salt.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna say because if you said yes to it, you didn't say yes or no. So I will let that one slide. I was gonna say let's get into a fun debate. Okay, maybe let's get into another little nice debate. We'll keep it a good debate. We want to keep it a good one. We're not gonna fight. Let me think of one. Pineapple on pizza.
Well, I think that's good to eat pizza with that, but pizza has a lot of salt. I try to avoid pizza.
Yeah, that's true. Geez, I didn't even really think about that too. I'm trying to think of another. Um, Here, you give me a debate. Can you think of something that we could debate on, like my opinion?
Do you support the tariffs proposed by Donald Trump on Canada?
Not necessarily. No.
I agree with you on that. I think that we need more cooperation. And one of my books, I say that we could become the Americas like the European Union.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we're doing just fine as we are. Like we don't need any tariffs or anything like that to make things better. I mean, like, is the world? Are we in kind of a terrible place? Maybe we are, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to completely resolve those problems or just create more. Like it's kind of it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, that's for sure. But see, that's a good example of a civil debate right there, and we accomplished that. There was no fighting or anything. Joshua's gonna want to fight later. No, we're buddies, man. We're buddies. I had a great time with this one, Josh. Before we sign off, I just wanted to ask you, what upcoming projects do you have in terms of books or podcasts or anything like that?
Well, I like to get on more podcasts, and I would like to write an autobiography, but I know the book business is not easy getting the books out there. You
No,
have to be
that's
really
true.
careful.
No, absolutely, man. But you gave some great advice, and we really appreciate that, and appreciate your time coming on here today. Where can people find you on like online, like social media or anything like that, or Amazon, where people can buy your books?
Amazon, Google search Joshua Flapan, Flapan.
Awesome. Awesome. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. And let's stay in touch and let's get into some more debates sometime. Some more, maybe not heated debates, but I think I had a lot of fun doing this one, man. So let's do another one.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys, we are going to take a short break. We will be right back. But until then, this is Frankie and Joshua signing off. Cheers, man.
Bye.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Corkin Entertainment Show. That was me and Joshua Flapan. Thank you, Joshua, for coming on. And guys, be sure to go check out everything that Joshua is doing. Purchase one of his books and all that good stuff. So thank you, Joshua. Great chatting with you, man. And let's definitely do it again. So moving on to our solo discussion topics today. The first one that I wanted to talk about is Amber Heard. Amber Heard, it kind of goes without saying, she hasn't had the best press. I mean, that's kind of, that's, for those of you guys who know, of course, let's just recap a little bit. There was the whole, she was in a relationship with Johnny Depp. It was a toxic relationship. It was an abusive relationship. At first, it was made out to seem like Johnny Depp was the bad guy. But then as the trial went on and the trial went down, or the second trial, I should say, first trial was when Depp sued the newspaper that published Amber Heard's story, where she didn't outright name Johnny Depp, but it was about Johnny Depp, and that inadvertently caused Johnny Depp's career to kind of go downhill, even though there were lots of other problems with Johnny Depp prior to the Amber Heard stuff. But that certainly accelerated the process of it. So, anyways, trial went down. Johnny Depp won, and Amber Heard lost. And so we've been seeing Johnny Depp has been getting back into the saddle a little bit with some other projects. Nothing major, no big like Johnny Depp-led blockbuster hits or anything like that. We saw him dress up as Captain Jack Sparrow for a children's hospital. This was back in the fall, I think. So he's still active again, and it's great to see him back doing what he loved to do at one point, and I'm sure still does. But I mean, it was a messy situation. Like, there's really no other way to put it except that it was just a terrible situation, and there's nothing really else you can say about it, aside from that. But Amber Heard, on the other hand, has kind of kept a low profile, which is understandable because, let's be real here, she became the most hated person, not just celebrity or actress. It's one thing to say, oh, they're a hated actress or a hated celebrity. No. Amber Heard is just a hated person, period. For all the, troubles that, lying on the stand, not knowing the difference between pledge and donate, which, I mean, she did know the difference, but she was caught in a lie and didn't know how to backtrack. Also, guys, I should recommend this for anybody who hasn't seen it. Depp v. Heard on Netflix. It's basically a 3-episode miniseries, which is basically a documentary on the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. Definitely be sure to check it out. It is well worth checking out. It kind of covers the case, details a lot of their relationship, and just how it all kind of ended up where it ended up. So I highly recommend that. It's on Netflix. Excuse me. And so, yeah, but so Amber Heard, as we said, has been kind of keeping a lower profile until now. This article is from E Online or E News, Entertainment News. Amber Heard shares glimpse into her first acting role since Johnny Depp trial. So she's doing a play now. So Amber Heard is enjoying life on stage as she prepares to star in Jeremy O'Harris's new play, Spirit of the People, alongside Brandon Flynn, her first role since her legal showdown with ex-husband Johnny Depp ended. The Aquaman actress shared a rare glimpse into the rehearsal process, alongside a rehearsal selfie with Jeremy shared to Instagram on June 23rd, ahead of the production's world premiere in the Williamstown Theatre Festival in July. Heard added the caption, "In my theater era." So here's the thing about this. I see lots of people who have the whole perspective of she shouldn't work again and this and that. Which I completely understand that now, but I think after a certain point, if accountability, the trouble with Amber Heard, I guess, really, for me anyway, is she still, from what I hear, she doesn't hold herself accountable for any of the bad things she did. That's what I'm having difficulty. Like, see, you look at someone like Robert Downey Jr. I'm using the Robert Downey Jr. example. Yes, he did horrible things. Yes, he was arrested and all this kind of stuff, put people's lives in danger and everything. But he held himself accountable for those actions. He took it upon himself and said, this isn't a good road for me to go down, and I need to get my shit together, basically. And acknowledges what he did was wrong, and he takes full accountability for his actions, and that's what a person who wants to better themselves does. Amber Heard just doesn't seem like that to me. She doesn't seem like the type of person, because if you go back and watch the trial, and I highly encourage everybody who hasn't checked out Depp v. Heard on Netflix, there were so many times where she was caught red-handed and just tried to lie and spin it in some way to make her look innocent. But it was very clear that she was in the wrong, and she wouldn't hold herself accountable. I just think you can trust people more when they're willing to admit when they've made mistakes. Like for instance, the first thing that comes to mind, I mentioned it, the pledge and donate thing. She said she was going to donate the entirety of her divorce settlement to charity, and apparently she did. She said she was going to donate it, and then they found out that she didn't actually, and she said, "Well, no, I pledged it." Like, no, you said you donated the entirety of it. So that right there, people say it's, I joke and say she doesn't know the difference and stuff, and people do. I think she does. She's smart enough. I think she knows. But I think she was caught red-handed and didn't know how to backtrack. It's kind of similar, not an apples to apples comparison really, but if you walk out of the classroom to saying you're going to use the washroom, and you get caught red-handed, and the teacher says, "What are you doing out here?" and you're just like you're just scrambling. I think that's what she did that moment, and there were so many other points in the trial where she did that too. So that's really the only issue I have is accountability. Okay, she did what she did. If she, I would respect her a hell of a lot more if she admitted, okay, maybe, because the vibes I was getting was just, I was a perfect partner and Johnny was a monster. He was, it was all him. Instead of just saying, okay, maybe I could have handled things better. I think that's the best, the fact that even just coming out and saying, even if it's something that, nobody wants to take accountability sometimes with regards to certain things. It takes a big person to hold themselves accountable and say, look, I messed up and I'm coming clean about that. I fucked up big time and I'm going to own it. That's what Robert Downey Jr. did. That's what Josh Brolin did. James Gunn did. Even what James Gunn did, it was tweets. It wasn't like he was hurting people or anything like that. But do I think Amber Heard deserves to have a career again? I mean, I think in time, yes, of course. I mean, it's she's got to live her life at some point, but my thing is just hold yourself accountable. I mean, like, I don't really know what more she's saying these days, if she's saying it's all John, because all I got in the interviews was just Johnny did everything bad and I didn't. I was just an angel who was abused by Johnny. That's just what it seemed like, and I didn't really like that, just hold yourself accountable. Even there's situations in, people in relationships and stuff where okay, maybe one side was more at fault than the other, but at some point you gotta say to yourself too, okay, certain situations, could I have done that better? Could I have handled that better? Maybe I could have. And Amber doesn't seem to do that. So I think it's good for her that she is getting back into the saddle and she is getting back to work and, making headlines again or whatever. But accountability, man, that's all I say. I keep going back to it. It's just, if you're just going to walk away from all this thinking I'm an angel, blah, 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 that's that, what can you do, but so people have their own opinions on it. I definitely love to hear what everybody else thinks. Does Amber Heard deserve a comeback? Do you think she doesn't and she should just be blacklisted forever? Whatever you think, definitely be sure to let me know your thoughts. And so moving on to our last solo discussion topic today is going to be talking about Fast and Furious. We have some news about the final Fast and Furious movies. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. I've fallen behind on Fast and Furious. The last one I saw was number 8, which was the Fate of the Furious. Was it Fate of the Furious? Yeah, it was. So I've fallen behind. I got to catch up. I've been meaning to catch up, but it's just, it just keeps passing me by, So eventually I will. But what I wanted to talk about is Vin Diesel has been making headlines now. Now, of course, the golden days of Fast and Furious, the old days where it was more street level, it was more realistic and stuff like that. It's kind of taken a bit of a turn, like probably since I would say number 5. But number 5 and 6 were great. I think 5 and 6 were probably the peak of Fast and Furious, in my opinion anyway. 7, yes, was great, but I mean, even still, there was some stuff in there where I was like, really? But overall, yeah, it's a great franchise, and I know it's gone downhill a little bit, but we have the last one coming out soon, which is Fast X, and it is coming out in, when is it coming again? In April 2027. So we still got, a little over 2 years, about a year and a half or so. So it'll be here before we know it. But so Vin Diesel has he announced the film's release date, and he reveals the return of Paul Walker as Brian O'Connor. Of course, Paul Walker, rest in peace. I still remember when he passed away, or the day he passed away, which was just a shock to everybody. But basically, this is what Vin Diesel is saying. So he was talking a little bit about, I'm reading this from Entertainment Weekly. It was at Fuel Fest in California, with a special announcement about the upcoming franchise finale. So he laid out terms. So he said, the studio said to me, Vin, can we have the finale of Fast and Furious in April 2027? Diesel began before the cheering crowd. Sorry, I couldn't talk. I said under 3 conditions. First is to bring the franchise back to LA. The second thing was to return to the car culture, to the street racing. The third thing was reuniting Dom and Brian O'Connor. So, okay, so the first 2, okay, yeah, if you're doing the last one, it's good to bring it back to where it started and kind of give it a nice, take it back to the start. And if you're really going to end it off, I mean, we'll see if they really end it off, and if they're they're not going to start some sort of multiverse big franchise or whatever, or well, it's already for a big multimedia franchise where they have spin-off after spin-off after spin-off, and it's a cinematic universe and stuff like that. So, the last one that stuck with me, so it was the third thing was reuniting Dom and Brian O'Connor. So the thing I wanted to talk about with this is it a good idea to do this. Soon as I heard, okay, so first off, here's the thing. They didn't outright confirm that they are going to bring back Brian O'Connor. I know you guys are, people are wondering, well, how can you do that? Because, Paul Walker's gone. Well, they finished Furious 7 with Paul Walker's brothers, of course, with the CGI and stuff like that. And it was a beautiful, beautiful send-off. Got lots of emotion in the theater. I still remember watching Furious 7 in the theater. Very emotional part in the film. And a great way to honor the unthinkable, really. I mean, like, how do you, they were about, I think, like 70% of the way through filming Furious 7. And then, of course, the tragedy happened. They had to backtrack and, work this all out. So the question is, is it a good idea to, bring back maybe Paul Walker's brothers, of course. They have the likeness and stuff like that, and use CGI. Especially in today's day and age where AI is a huge thing. It's fucking crazy, man. It is so crazy how AI is. And, they did a great job back then with the CGI. Imagine in today's day and age with today's technology and all that stuff. Like, there's so much potential there. So, do I think it's a good idea? At first, I said no. It was a perfect ending. Just don't ruin that. It was, nothing you do is gonna top the ending of Furious 7. It was just a great send off. It was a way to honor Paul Walker and everything and finish the story and this and that. But, emphasis on but, because it's the last one in the series, I think it's worth it. But I don't think it's worth it to, let's say, include him for the whole film. I think you use him, do the CGI thing for like the end, do a big reunion scene at the end. That's how you do it. But first of all, I mean, here's the thing. Vin Diesel, he's a producer and stuff like that, so I get that. But I think the only way to make it good also is to get, permission from Paul Walker's family. Because, I mean, you're using AI and CGI and stuff like that. I think it'd be good to have, like, his family's blessing too, which, from what, they are a family. So that was unintentional. That family, Vin Diesel thing. Anyway, they are family. They are very, very close. So I'm sure they've been talking about this for a while anyway, ending the franchise off on a good note. So I think what will happen, and just the vibe I'm getting off from here, is they'll have the big epic finale, and the very end they'll do one of those barbecue scenes that they always do at the end of Fast and Furious movies. And who's going to pull up but Brian, CGI'd, I think that's what's going to happen, and they're going to cap it off right there and dedicate it to Paul Walker and this and that, similar to Furious 7 in a way. I think that's how you do it. And so I've kind of warmed up to it. Took me a bit, but I finally warmed up to it. It was just, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, really? No, just, it was a perfect ending in Furious 7. Don't ruin it and this and that. And so, it is what it is. And I'm very excited to see how it goes. First off, I got to catch up on the Fast and Furious too. That's the thing. I got to catch up on the Fast and Furious. I'm terrible. I'm talking about this, but I'm behind on a few movies. I know, guys. Don't judge me. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what's going to happen. And so I definitely want to hear from you guys. Do you guys think that we are going to get Paul Walker back or Brian O'Connor back for Furious or the final Fast and Furious movie, Fast X Part 2? Is that what they're calling it? Fast X Part 2? That's what it sounds like. Part 2. Yeah, okay, Fast X Part 2. Okay. Coming in April 2027, are we going to see Paul Walker back or like CGI'd? It'll be 12 years since Furious 7, so just think of the emotions that are going to be really, really high from it. So anyways, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments and all that. And we're going to call it for the show today, guys. I want to thank my guest, Joshua Flapan, for coming on. Thank you again, Joshua. Thank you guys for listening to the show today. If you want to leave us a nice little rating, comment, whatever it is, we really, really appreciate it. Keeps the podcast going. Thank you guys again. We'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, this is Frankie signing off. Cheers, everyone.